You want to know if she's serious about you? Don't look at her words. Look at her consistency. The ancient Stoics mastered human nature not by theory, but through observation, and when it comes to women, they would tell you, stop chasing signs in the clouds. The truth is always in behavior. If a woman is truly committed, not juggling you with three others, not hedging her bets, she will show it, plainly, consistently, undeniably. This video gives you those signs. Watch till the end because one sign alone isn't enough. You need the full picture. Like, subscribe, comment if you've lived through this, and share it with someone who needs clarity. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. She made it clear. A woman who is serious about you doesn't drop breadcrumbs. She doesn't keep you circling in uncertainty, wondering if today you're her top priority or just a convenient option. She doesn't play the hot and cold game, sending mixed signals just to see how much attention she can extract. She's not addicted to the thrill of ambiguity, nor is she juggling multiple men behind a veil of mystery. When she's serious, she steps out of the fog. She replaces confusion with clarity. A woman who truly wants you, just you, doesn't entertain distractions. She doesn't flirt with detachment or pretend to be indifferent in hopes of gaining leverage. She moves with intention, not manipulation. She initiates real conversations about what this connection is, where it's going, and whether you're aligned. Not because she's desperate. Not because she's in a hurry. But because she values her time and yours. She knows what she wants, and she's not ashamed of it. She doesn't tiptoe around the subject of commitment like it's a trap. If she's ready for a relationship, she says it. Directly. She may ask, "What are we doing?" Or she may tell you plainly, "I'm not seeing anyone else. I'm interested in this." That level of openness doesn't come from insecurity. It comes from confidence. She's not applying for a role in your life, she's offering a place for you in hers. She doesn't frame her clarity as a test. It's not a trick. It's truth. When you respond, she doesn't twist your words, reinterpret your intentions, or try to manipulate the outcome. She listens or really listens. She takes your words at face value. If you say you're unsure, she doesn't try to force you. If you say you're in, she doesn't suddenly back away out of fear. She values consistency over comfort. And her goal isn't to trap you, it's to build with you. The Stoics believed that love without clarity is a form of self-inflicted suffering. And they were right. When expectations are hidden, when intentions are masked, when emotions are buried under fear and pretense, that's not connection. That's chaos. And a woman who is serious about you won't let you drown in chaos. She brings order. She brings definition. She replaces the game with the truth. Her clarity may feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you're used to chasing women who run hot one day and cold the next. But this is what emotional maturity looks like. She doesn't fear scaring you off because she knows that if clarity sends you running, then you were never meant to stay. And she'd rather know that now than waste her time hoping you'll change. There's no hidden agenda behind her honesty. She's not setting you up. She's not angling for control. She's simply saying, "Here's where I stand. Are you with me? And if you are, great. If not, she moves on, not in bitterness, but in dignity. Because when you value yourself, you don't cling to people who aren't sure about you. You make space for those who are. A woman who's serious doesn't need to chase. She doesn't need to convince. She doesn't need to beg for reciprocation. Her role isn't to audition. Her role is to invite. And only a man who is ready, truly ready, will recognize that invitation for what it is, a rare opportunity for something grounded, real, and lasting. In a world where mixed signals have become the norm, clarity is not just refreshing, it's revolutionary. And when a woman makes it clear that she wants you, that she's ready, that she's serious, don't second-guess it. Don't wait for the other shoe to drop. Understand that what you're being offered is not pressure. It's not threat. It's freedom, freedom from doubt, freedom from confusion, freedom from the emotional rollercoaster that comes with half-hearted people. Gains are for those who are afraid to lose. But when someone is serious, they don't fear loss, they fear wasting time. And a woman who values her time will never waste it on ambiguity. She clears the air. She speaks the truth. She lets you see her, no masks, no manipulation, no performance. That's not weakness. That's strength. And if you're ready for something real, you'll see it for what it is, a gift. Chapter 2. She remembers small details. Attention is the currency of interest. And in a world that's constantly distracted, constantly multitasking, constantly pulled in 1,000 directions, genuine attention has become rare. That's why it's such a powerful signal. When a woman is serious about you, she doesn't just hear your words, she absorbs them. She stores them, turns them over in her mind, and connects them to who you are. This is not just about memory. It's about presence. She remembers the things you didn't even think were important. The offhand comment you made about your brother's job interview. The weird snack you liked as a kid. The exact way you take your coffee. These things may seem small, but they're not. Because nobody remembers the details of someone they don't care about. These fragments of your life become part of her mental map of you. She's not collecting data, she's forming connection. She notices how your mood subtly shifts when you've had a long day. She picks up on the difference in your tone when you talk about something that matters to you. She remembers the names of people in your life. The goals you've mentioned in passing. The fears you tried to laugh off but couldn't quite hide. That kind of awareness is not surface level. It's intimate. And it's deliberate. Most people listen to respond. To insert their story. To wait for their turn. But someone who is genuinely serious listens to understand. She doesn't just want to know what you do, she wants to know what it means to you. She doesn't just track the facts of your life, she tracks the emotions underneath them. That's a rare kind of emotional intelligence, and it's fueled by care. The Stoics believed that love should sharpen our awareness, not dull it. That being close to someone should wake you up, not lull you into complacency. And when a woman is focused on you, her awareness becomes sharp. She's not half listening while scrolling her phone. She's tuned in. Not just to your voice, but to your silences. Not just to your stories, but to what's behind them. She might bring up something you said weeks ago that you don't even remember saying. And when she does, you realize she was actually there in that moment. Fully present. She wasn't checking a mental checklist of what to say next. She was listening with intention. That kind of presence is increasingly rare in our overstimulated world. But that's what makes it so meaningful. When she remembers something personal and specific, it's not just about recall. It's a demonstration of emotional investment. A signal that you are not just background noise in her life. You are not one of many. You are singular in her attention. And that attention isn't scattered across a lineup of other options. It's focused. Clear. Grounded. She might even anticipate your needs before you articulate them. She knows the kind of support you respond to. She knows when you need space and when you need closeness. And she adjusts, not in a way that loses herself, but in a way that shows she sees you. Not the curated version of you. The real you. That level of attentiveness is not about manipulation or control, it's about care. A woman who is serious doesn't need reminders to remember what matters to you. She doesn't need a checklist to keep up with your world. She remembers because she's in it with you. Because you occupy real estate in her thoughts. Because your happiness, your stress, your success, your pain, they matter to her. And here's where the Stoic insight cuts through the noise. Details matter not for their own sake, but because they reflect awareness. And awareness is the root of wisdom. A wise woman pays attention not to impress, but because she understands that love is in the noticing, in the nuance, in the small repetitions, in the way someone lights up over something simple, in the things they mention twice, even when they pretend it's not a big deal. So when she remembers small things, don't brush it off as coincidence. Don't assume it's just a good memory. It's not. It's focus. It's emotional clarity. It's intention. She's not paying attention to your resume, your achievements, or even your looks. She's tuned into you. The man behind the performance. The thoughts behind the words. The emotions behind the armor. In a world where most people are just waiting for their turn to talk, a woman who genuinely listens and remembers is doing something radical. She's giving you her full presence. And that's one of the clearest signs that she's not playing games. She's not keeping score. She's not scanning for the next option. She's here. With you. Paying attention. And when someone chooses to do that, in a world full of distractions and endless noise, it means only one thing: she's serious. Chapter 3. You have deep conversations. When a woman is truly serious about you, something fundamental begins to shift in the way you communicate. It's no longer about clever punchlines or flirty exchanges that don't go anywhere. The conversations begin to deepen. They slow down. They gain weight. You start to feel like you're not just talking, you're uncovering something. Both in her and in yourself. She no longer needs to impress you with small talk. She doesn't hide behind performative charm or polished responses. She speaks in a way that's real. Not because she's trying to win you over, but because she's comfortable enough to be seen. She doesn't need a perfect setting or an orchestrated moment. The depth comes naturally. Whether you're on a walk, sitting in a car, or just texting late at night, she finds a way to bring presence into the space. And that presence is where intimacy begins. She doesn't interrogate you. She invites you. She doesn't demand vulnerability, she creates an environment where it can breathe. You'll notice she listens not just for the sake of replying, but to understand. She remembers small details you didn't even think mattered. She follows the thread of your story, not because she's being polite, but because she's genuinely invested in who you are. She wants to know what makes you tick. What makes you hesitate? What drives you when no one's looking? That's a woman who's serious. These conversations start to break open things you didn't even plan on sharing. You might find yourself talking about your father, your fears of failure, that one moment in childhood that still lingers in your memory. You might talk about things you've never voiced aloud, your doubts, your regrets, your quiet hopes for the future. And here's the key: you feel safe doing it. That safety doesn't come from words. It comes from how she holds what you share, with care, with stillness, with no rush to fix or judge. That kind of presence is rare. The Stoics understood this kind of strength. To them, vulnerability wasn't some emotional outburst, it was truth under control. The ability to speak from your core, without pretense, without fear. A woman who is serious about you will embrace this depth. She will respect it. She won't weaponize your openness. She won't use it against you later. She's not collecting information, she's building connection. That distinction is everything. and she will give as much as she receives. She will open up too, not in a forced way, not in a dramatic overshare to test your response, but in a sincere unfolding of her story, her failures, her insecurities, her goals that scare her. You'll start to hear the truth of who she is and not just the curated version. She's not trying to maintain an image of perfection. She's trying to connect from the messiness of reality. That honesty is where real intimacy grows. You'll feel the difference in your own body. These conversations don't leave you drained, they leave you grounded. You're not performing. You're not strategizing. You're just there. Fully. And so is she. That's a bond that doesn't need constant validation. It holds its own weight because it's rooted in truth. Most people stay stuck in surface-level interactions because depth requires effort and risk. It means letting go of masks. It means admitting what you don't know. It means being seen. And in a culture where everyone's trying to look like they have it all together, that kind of openness feels like rebellion. But to a serious woman, it's not rebellion, it's necessary. Because she doesn't want to waste her time building a connection on sand. She wants bedrock. And she'll start digging for it, not just in you, but with you. You might find that these deep conversations don't always have answers. Sometimes they leave you with more questions. But they're real. They make you think. They leave you feeling more connected, not just to each other, but to your own inner world. And that's something few people ever experience. A woman who is serious doesn't just want to know what you do. She wants to know why you do it. What keeps you up at night? What you believe about the world, about love, about yourself. And she wants to tell you the same. She doesn't treat emotional intimacy like a bonus feature, it's foundational to how she loves. In a world where people are constantly talking but rarely saying anything that matters, a woman who brings you into deep conversation is giving you a gift. Not for entertainment. Not for manipulation. But for truth. Because she knows that if you're going to build something real, it can't be built on silence, avoidance, or performance. It has to be built on shared understanding, and that only comes through talking about the things most people are too afraid to touch. So pay attention to the woman who wants to go deep with you. Who doesn't just ask about your day, but about your life. Who doesn't shy away when the conversation turns serious. Who can sit with discomfort. Who can hold your truth without flinching. That kind of woman isn't just looking for a moment, she's looking for meaning. And if you're serious too, you'll recognize the rarity of what you've found. Chapter 4. She starts conversations. Initiation is one of the clearest, most revealing indicators of emotional investment. When a woman is genuinely serious about you, she doesn't sit in silence waiting for the perfect moment. She doesn't treat connection like a transaction, only responding when prompted. She doesn't make you feel like you're auditioning for her attention. Instead, she reaches out. She starts the dialogue. And she does it not out of boredom, obligation, or convenience, but out of genuine interest. Because in her world, you're not just another notification. You're a priority. Her messages might not always be long. They might not always be poetic or dramatic. But they're real. They carry weight. It could be a simple greeting, a check-in, a comment about something personal you shared, or a random thought sparked by her day. The content doesn't matter as much as the intention behind it. She wants to create a thread of connection, something that stretches from her world to yours, even when you're not physically together. That's not something casual women do. That's the behavior of someone who sees you as more than temporary. This kind of initiation reveals a key principle of Stoic thinking, presence through action, not just emotion. The Stoics didn't place value on intense feeling, they placed value on consistent behavior. A woman who is serious doesn't just tell you how she feels in emotional highs, she shows you in small, everyday moments. She shows up. She stays in touch. She doesn't leave you wondering if you said something wrong or guessing whether she lost interest. She makes her presence known, not to dominate the conversation, but to sustain the bond. She doesn't ghost you and return like nothing happened. She doesn't vanish for days and then try to re-engage only when she's bored or lonely. That kind of behavior is rooted in ego and emotional immaturity. A woman who is emotionally grounded and serious respects your time. She respects your energy. And she respects the flow of communication as a reflection of both your efforts, not just hers. She doesn't initiate to play games. She initiates because you're on her mind. And when someone is on your mind, you reach out. It's that simple. You'll notice that her conversations are rarely just about her. She listens. She remembers. She brings up details you thought she forgot. She wants to know how your day went, not just as a ritual, but because she actually cares. That kind of engagement is rare. Most people today are passive. They scroll. They observe. They consume. But they rarely engage unless there's something in it for them. A woman who starts conversation simply because she wants to connect breaks that pattern entirely. There's no confusion with her. She doesn't leave you analyzing the meaning of every word. She's not cryptic. She's not manipulative. And most importantly, she wants to know what you think. She doesn't need you to be a circus act or always interesting. She wants you, not just your entertainment value. And that shows through in how she reaches out. The Stoics believed that virtue was revealed not in grand gestures, but in the quiet choices we make each day. In this case, it's the choice to reach out when she doesn't have to ask how you're doing when she's busy, to check in even if you haven't spoken in a day. That's what seriousness looks like. It's not drama, it's devotion in motion. Small, steady actions that communicate, I care enough to show up, without being asked. In contrast, a woman who is only half interested will always wait for you to initiate. She'll leave silences hanging and expect you to fill them. She might reply, but she rarely initiates. She might like your stories, but she never really says anything. She'll entertain the conversation, but never drive it. And if you pull back, she disappears completely. That's not connection, that's convenience. But when a woman is serious, she meets you halfway. Sometimes more. She doesn't treat conversation like a chore. She doesn't make you chase a response. She makes you feel seen, heard, and appreciated without you needing to constantly reach. That kind of effort is becoming rare in today's world, where superficial validation is everywhere and emotional availability is scarce. So when a woman starts conversations with you, consistently, genuinely, with real presence, it's not just texting. It's not just flirting. It's a signal. A deep one. It means she values your thoughts, your presence, and your energy enough to invite it into her space. She doesn't wait for the right time, she makes time. And she doesn't need to make a grand statement about her feelings. Her behavior already speaks volumes. And if you're paying attention, if you're living with Stoic awareness, you'll recognize the difference. You'll know when her effort is real. You'll see how her consistency isn't an accident. And more importantly, you'll understand that it's not something you have to beg for. It's not something you chase. It's something that naturally flows when someone truly values you. In a world full of surface-level interest and performance-driven attention, a woman who genuinely starts conversations is a rare find. Don't overlook her. Don't treat her initiative like it's ordinary. Because it's not. It's one of the clearest signs that she's not just passing through your life, she wants to stay. Chapter 5. She wants to meet your loved ones. A woman who genuinely sees a future with you doesn't just focus on the relationship in isolation. She understands that love doesn't exist in a vacuum. She knows that you are more than just how you act with her. You are your habits, your upbringing, your beliefs, your values, and the people who helped shape those things. That's why, when she's serious, she doesn't stay on the surface. She goes deeper. She wants to understand not just who you are, but how you became that way. And often, the best way to see that is through your circle. Your family. Your friends. The people you lean on. The people you've fought with. The people who've influenced your path. She doesn't just casually ask about your parents or siblings to make conversation. She wants to meet them. She wants to be there in the same room. She wants to see your body language when you talk to your father. She wants to hear how your mother speaks to you. She wants to watch how you interact with your friends, not because she's nosy, but because she's curious about what matters to you. She wants to see the dynamics, the unspoken rules, the emotional history, not to judge, but to understand. This isn't about gaining approval or trying to impress. It's about inclusion. It's about integration. A woman who's serious doesn't see your life as a separate domain she occasionally visits. She wants to become part of it. She's not afraid of the messy parts. She doesn't retreat when things get real. She wants to understand your background, your values, your emotional patterns, because to love someone well, you have to see them clearly. And that clarity only comes when you step into their world. She doesn't treat your friends like a formality. She doesn't smile politely and mentally check out. She listens. She pays attention. She notices who lifts you up, who drains you, who makes you laugh, who brings out your frustration. She observes not just to learn about them, but to learn about you through them. She's forming a fuller picture. She's asking, is this a world I want to be part of? Can I add something to it, not take away from it? A woman like this isn't just dating you. She's considering how your entire ecosystem fits with hers. The Stoics believed that the true nature of a person can't be seen in isolation. You understand someone's character only when you observe them in different environments, under pressure, around family, in social settings. A Stoic wouldn't judge a man by how he performs when he's in love. They'd judge him by how he treats his mother, how he handles conflict with old friends, how he behaves when no one's trying to impress anyone. A woman who embodies that kind of wisdom wants to see you in those settings. She knows that's where the truth lives. When she asks to meet your parents, it's not just about politeness. It's about legacy. She's wondering what kind of father you might become one day. What kind of partner you'll be when life gets heavy. What kind of man she's aligning herself with long term. She knows that family, however complicated, is a mirror. And she wants to look into it, not flinch from it. She doesn't expect perfection. She's not looking for a picture-perfect dynamic. In fact, when she's serious, she embraces the imperfections. She knows that every family has tension. Every friend group has history. But she pays attention to how you navigate it. Are you loyal? Are you honest? Do you stand up for yourself? Do you show empathy? These things tell her more than any romantic dinner ever could. And here's something else. When a woman wants to meet your people, it also means she's willing to open up her own world to you. She's not trying to keep you compartmentalized. She's not afraid of letting you see where she came from either. That mutual transparency is the foundation of something real. It's how two lives begin to merge, slowly, respectfully, but deliberately. So if she shows interest in your parents, your childhood friends, your mentors, it's a sign, not just of curiosity, but of care, of intention. She's not here to skim the surface. She's here to immerse. Because to her, being with you means being with the people you love, even if that means accepting complexity, tension, or past wounds. She's not running from that. She's leaning in. That's what maturity looks like. Because at the end of the day, anyone can fall in love with your highlights. But only someone serious wants to understand the full picture. That includes the people who shaped you, who for better or worse. That includes seeing you not just in the context of the relationship, but in the broader context of your life. And that's a rare kind of woman. One who doesn't want to own you, but to know you. One who isn't intimidated by your past, but interested in how it built the man she's growing close to. And that's not just romantic, that's powerful. That's stoic. And that's the kind of connection you don't take for granted. Chapter 6, she talks about the future. Future talk isn't a tactic for a serious woman, it's a reflection of her internal compass. It's not something she uses to manipulate emotions or create illusions of commitment. It's not about fantasy. It's not about creating false hope. It's about how she genuinely sees the road ahead and who she envisions walking it with. A woman who is serious about you doesn't just live in the moment, she integrates you into the structure of her future without forcing it, without needing validation. It comes out in the way she speaks, the way she plans, and the way she subtly aligns her life with yours. She doesn't just drop vague, non-committal hints like, wouldn't it be nice if, or maybe someday. Instead, she talks in specifics. Trips, events, seasons ahead, holidays, future milestones, and you're in them. Not as a placeholder. Not as a hypothetical. As a given. She starts using words like we and us effortlessly, like it's the most natural thing in the world. And here's the key, it never feels like a negotiation. It doesn't feel like she's testing your reaction or looking for reassurance. It feels intentional. Settled. Because in her mind, the idea of you being around down the line is already solidified. A woman who sees you as part of her future doesn't just fantasize, she prepares. And that's deeply Stoic. The ancient Stoics rejected wishful thinking. They weren't interested in vague hopes or emotional highs. They were interested in preparation, intention, and clarity of purpose. The same applies here. A serious woman begins to lay the groundwork. She adjusts her schedule. She makes lifestyle changes, not in a dramatic or codependent way, but in a way that reflects growing alignment. Maybe she brings up where she'd like to live, how she feels about family, or what kind of life she wants to build. And when she does, it's not about selling you a dream. It's about seeing if you fit into what's already forming in her head and heart. Emotionally, she begins to anchor herself. She starts creating a sense of continuity between who she is now and who she's becoming, and in that continuity, you're not a guest. You're a part of it. She's thinking long-term, not because she's desperate to lock something down, but because she knows what she wants. And she's not afraid to act on it. That's a mark of maturity, a sign of emotional intelligence. She's not here to waste time. She's here to build something. Even her conversations shift subtly. She's not always talking about nightlife or distractions. She's talking about values, about goals, about growth. Because her vision of the future isn't just about having fun with someone, it's about evolving with someone. And she wants to know if the person she's with is capable of that kind of journey. Not in theory, in practice. When a woman is serious about you, the future becomes a shared language. She includes you in decisions, even the small ones, because she's already thinking in terms of partnership. Not in a controlling way. Not in a way that demands answers. But in a way that says, I'm not just passing time with you. I'm building something. This kind of talk doesn't come from boredom. It doesn't come from loneliness. It doesn't even come from infatuation. It comes from intent. Real, deep, anchored intent. She's not interested in playing house. She's interested in creating a home with the right person. And she's testing for that, not by playing games, but by being open, honest, and consistent. It's a beautiful paradox. The more serious she is, the more relaxed she becomes about the future. There's no pressure. No drama. Just a quiet confidence that if you're both aligned, things will move forward naturally. She's not anxious, she's aware. Aware of the stakes. Aware of her own value. Aware of what she wants and where she's going. So if she talks about the future, and you consistently in that picture, pay attention. That's not just optimism talking. That's emotional investment. That's a long-term lens. And in a world full of people who are just seeing where things go, that kind of clarity is rare. And powerful. It's not just future talk. It's future thinking. Future planning. And most importantly, future action. That's when you know she's not just passing time. She's prioritizing it with you in mind. Chapter 7. You're a priority. In the end, the truest, most undeniable sign that a woman is serious about you lies in how she manages her time and energy. People talk a lot about feelings, but feelings fade. Excitement fades. Words fade. What doesn't fade, what reveals the truth, is where a person consistently invests their presence. Because we always make time for what matters. Always. If you're important to her, you'll see it, not in grand gestures or social media shout-outs, but in how she shows up in your life, over and over again. It's not about frequency alone, it's about intention. A serious woman doesn't just squeeze you in when everything else is handled. She rearranges things. She plans around you. She remembers your schedule, your routines, the things that matter to you, and she weaves herself into that space. You're not an afterthought. You're not a maybe. You're not someone she sees only when she has nothing better to do. You're part of her life in a deliberate, visible, felt way. That doesn't mean she abandons her goals, her responsibilities, or her independence. On the contrary, a woman who's serious about you maintains her life, but she makes sure you know you're part of it. She communicates when things get hectic. She doesn't vanish without explanation. She doesn't expect you to read her mind or tolerate emotional distance masked as "I'm just busy." Because she respects your time as much as her own. She honors the space between you. She values what you're building together. And she understands that presence, genuine, undivided presence, is a form of devotion. The Stoics were crystal clear about this. Time is the most valuable currency we have. Seneca said it best, people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful. A woman who truly values you will not waste your time, or her own. She won't play games, run hot and cold, or keep you in a grey area while she shops around for other options. She will be there, not because she has to be, but because she wants to be. She makes effort. She follows through. She remembers the small things. She checks in not to control you, but because she genuinely cares. Her attention isn't a tool of manipulation, it's an offering. And when you express your own needs or boundaries, she doesn't get defensive. She listens. Because to her, you are not just another chapter, you're a priority in the story she's consciously choosing to write. This doesn't look like chaos or obsession. It looks like peace, like stability, like someone showing up in the storm, not running from it. That's what sets a serious woman apart. Not just how she feels about you, but how she treats you in the context of her everyday life. She invests her time in you, and not just in dates or moments of intimacy, but in building something meaningful. And she does this without being asked. That consistency, that groundedness, that quiet certainty, that's the Stoic version of real love. Not loud, not chaotic, but disciplined, intentional, and unwavering. So the question is not whether she says she cares. The real question is, does she show up? Does she choose you in action, not just in theory? Does she make you feel seen, respected, and included, not just sometimes, but often enough that it becomes the norm, not the exception? Because that's what it looks like when a woman is serious about you. No guesswork. No chasing. Just clarity. Just effort. Just presence. And that's not something you beg for. That's something you recognize, and if you're wise, you respect it deeply. If you're wondering whether a woman is serious about you, stop listening to her promises and start watching her patterns. Her consistency, her depth, her presence, these are the real signals. The Stoics taught us to judge not by what is said, but by what is done. A woman who's truly invested won't leave you in emotional limbo. She won't make you feel like you have to compete, guess, or prove yourself every day. She'll show up, not just when it's easy or convenient, but when it matters. And if she doesn't, then the answer is already clear. Your job is not to beg for clarity. Your job is to see it, to observe, to act accordingly. A man rooted in Stoic discipline doesn't chase validation. He values truth over fantasy. So when a woman shows up with presence, respect, and genuine intention, honor that. And when she doesn't, let her go. Like, comment, and share this with someone who needs to wake up and stop wasting time. Because the one thing we never get back is time.